Daniel never believed in ghosts. He was a man of science, always seeking logical explanations for the unexplained. Superstitions and ghost stories were things he scoffed at, often dismissing them as figments of overactive imaginations. His friends would often share eerie tales, but Daniel would just laugh them off, confident that there was always a rational explanation behind every so-called supernatural event. That changed the night he moved into his new apartment. It was an old building, the kind that had seen generations come and go. The walls seemed to whisper stories of the past, and the air was thick with history. Daniel felt a strange mix of excitement and unease as he unpacked his belongings, trying to make the place feel like home. The place was old, the kind where the floors creaked even when no one was walking. Every step he took was accompanied by the groaning of the wooden floorboards, as if the apartment itself was alive and reacting to his presence. It was unsettling, but Daniel brushed it off as part of the charm of living in an old building. But what unsettled him most was the antique mirror left behind by the previous tenant. It was an ornate piece with a heavy wooden frame that looked like it belonged in a different era. The mirror's surface was slightly warped, giving reflections a distorted, almost otherworldly appearance. Daniel couldn't help but feel a chill every time he walked past it. It stood tall in the hallway, its surface slightly warped, as if something inside was pressing against the glass. The mirror seemed to have a presence of its own, an aura that made Daniel uneasy. He tried to ignore it, but the feeling of being watched was hard to shake off. One night, while brushing his teeth, he caught something in the mirror's reflection, a shape. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light, a shadow cast by the dim bathroom lighting, but as he looked closer, the shape became more defined, more real. A shadow standing in the hallway behind him. It was tall and indistinct, like a silhouette without features. Daniel's heart raced as he stared at the figure, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. He could feel the hairs on the back of his neck stand up, a primal fear taking hold. He spun around. Nothing, just empty darkness. His heartbeat slowed. He let out a shaky breath, trying to calm himself. It had to be his imagination, he thought. The mind playing tricks on him in the dim light of the apartment. Tricks of the mind, he told himself. He had read about how the brain could create illusions, especially in low-light conditions. He tried to rationalize the experience, convincing himself that there was a logical explanation for what he had seen. He turned back to the mirror. His reflection hadn't moved. It was still there, staring back at him with an intensity that made Daniel's skin crawl. The reflection seemed to have a life of its own, independent of his movements. It stood there, staring at him, grinning. Daniel couldn't breathe. He lifted his arm. The reflection did not. It was as if the mirror had captured a moment in time, a moment that was now frozen and staring back at him with a sinister smile. It just stood, staring, that grin stretching wider, impossibly wide. Then it whispered, "You're finally looking." The lights flickered. The reflection lunged forward. Daniel felt a cold dread wash over him, paralyzing him in place. The voice was soft, almost gentle, but it carried a weight that made his blood run cold, and Daniel's screams were swallowed by the dark. The apartment seemed to close in around him, the shadows growing thicker and more oppressive. He felt himself being pulled into the darkness, his screams echoing in the void. The last thing he saw was the reflection's grin, impossibly wide, as it consumed him.